Yeah, so the...
No, it's very sad that this is really, we are touching here something which is, once again, the symbol of many things that are happening in Muslim majority countries, in the Muslim world, where we really need education and better understanding. I have been working in Africa for now almost 30 years, 25, 28 years, going there, working at the grassroots level, educating, solidarity work. It started with solidarity work, and then as a Muslim scholar to go there and to teach. And you just have the answer here, is that someone who is scared of being, mocked by his friends. He doesn't care about the woman. He's saying it's like this in our tradition. And then at the end he said, this is our religion. And he doesn't know where it does come from. So this is why we really have to be serious about this. And this is something from, self-critical approach as a Muslim. But it's also it should be done by every one of us, Muslims and non-Muslims. We look at our values and we look at our deeds, and there are always contradictions. So we have to be consistent. Here, what we have is that people speaking in the name of religion, and what is done in the name of religion is completely against, in contradiction.
Yeah, because you're saying it's not in the Quran, right?
So not even this. This is against the Islamic teaching. So for male circumcision, it's against. And here we are talking about a woman who should go through an operation. And he's just saying, no, shouldn't go. I'm going to do it myself. So he doesn't care about her suffering. So first, to teach that in Islam, there is nothing like this. It's not Islamic. Then second, and this is in Africa because it's crossing the borders, it's cultural. In fact, it's cultural. You have Christians doing it, Muslims, animists, the traditional African spiritualities. So we have to say no. Yeah. And then we have to go for more education. And then, in the 15th century, you have scholars speaking about, the natural contraception, what we call coit interruptus. So it's just to give up when the man is coming, just to avoid the woman being pregnant. This was said to be Islamically right with one condition. You have to ask your wife. Why? Because by doing this, you may put her in a situation where she will not have her right to get a child. And the second, she has the right to pleasure. And you can avoid it.
That was in the 15th century.
Look at that.
We had that in the 80s.
Look at that. It's something which is quite important, is that scholars coming at that time saying pleasure is connected to sexuality, and sexuality is the rights of men and women. We are regressing because we don't know our religion. So we have to come with a better understanding to say this is wrong. We launched a campaign in Europe against forced marriages by saying this is not Islamic. You have to stop that. The problem is exactly this, is that we have two things. Women not knowing their rights, and men keeping on with tradition. And sometimes even women doing it for women because they think that this is religion. This is Islamic. I think that we have to go, it's a very important task. So better for us from Europe, instead of, portraying Islam in a bad way, to invest in education, pedagogy from within, with people understanding.
I suppose with female circumcision, I mean that's quite uncontroversial in Europe. But there are also points where your positions are more controversial, right? For example, I think the position of gays is in one sentence.
No, it's not controversial what I said to the Muslims and what I'm saying to the people, as a Muslim. And if you read all the monotheistic tradition, you won't find something which is promoting and saying it's allowed per se from the religious viewpoint. It's prohibited. But the point that it's prohibited from a religious viewpoint doesn't mean that you are going to condemn the people. The starting point of living with people is to say, I may not agree with what you are doing, but I respect who you are.
But how can you not agree with someone's homosexuality?
No.
It's sort of like not agreeing with someone's hair color.
No, it's not the same. From a religious viewpoint, the perception of homosexuality is something which is not something which has to do with the hair color. It's something which has to do with a way of perceiving life or being involved in your own sexuality, which is perceived as the non-natural way. So this is something which is, once again...
it seems that, I mean, the gay people I know, they just at some point they discovered that they fall in love with men, or when they're women fall in love with women. That's why I used the parallel with hair color. It's sort of like it's something that grows out of your body, and there it is.
But once again, it's not because everything naturally, you know, it's not because of this. From a religious viewpoint, you have to understand that I'm speaking here from a religious viewpoint. It's not because it's natural that it's good per se. You know, your own violence could be natural. It's not good per se. You have to think about it to give it a meaning. From a religious viewpoint, this attraction towards another man when you are a man, or another woman when you are a woman, is something that you have to ponder, to master, to control, because it's not perceived as the religious teaching. This is the way I would perceive it from a spiritual viewpoint, from a religious viewpoint. But now the point for me, it's my perception of this. What am I going to translate in my daily life with people choosing to not only have it, but to nurture it and to go for it? This is the point to say, in my religion, it's not promoted, it's something which is prohibited, but when you are with me, the point for me is to respect who you are, and you know, and you do whatever you want to do with yourself, which is exactly the same I'm expecting from the people. I may understand that people don't understand the fact that I'm fasting 1 month every year in my life. What are you doing? I'm not asking you to like it. I'm asking you to respect who I am and to leave me do whatever I want to do. And I think that from a religious viewpoint,
do you think gays need to worry about their position when the percentage of Muslims in Europe grows? If you look at demographics, Muslims have more children than non-Muslims. I think many gays in the Netherlands are worried that if Holland at some point has 3 or 4 million Muslims, that they will say, look, since it's religiously not allowed, we really don't want to see any more of this and this and this. And at some point, all the gains that they feel they've made will be reversed.
I think that it's a good point, because I really think that these worries are not only about gays. It's really about the number of Muslims. You had politicians in this country showing the figures of Muslims growing and saying, okay, look, it's a kind of colonization. And I think that the Muslims should listen to these questions and these worries, because it's very important. What do you want exactly? Do you want to convert the people? Do you want to impose your laws? Do you want to... And the Muslims, and this is why I'm telling you this, from an Islamic viewpoint, I would go for more education within the Muslim communities to understand in which way we deal with others. It's not because you are not... many scholars in the past were saying to the Muslims, you cannot stay here because you can drink alcohol. The answer today is you can't stay here because you are not obliged to drink alcohol. But there is something which is quite important. You are not going to